All right, so let's get into this conversation about telepathy, extrasensory perceptions, our light body, and our extrasensory organs. I want to begin by sharing that this conversation has been brought to you through my experience listening to the Telepathy Tapes podcast by Kai Dickens. If you haven't put that on your playlist yet, I highly suggest it. It is incredible. In the Telepathy Tapes podcast, they share about non-speaking autistic children and their parents, caregivers, and teachers, and the mind-sharing telepathy that these kids and adults are having with each other, and the scientific community and media backlash, ridicule, and outright denial of what's occurring. Yeah, so that's the nutshell of the telepathy tapes. So go listen, have a listen for yourself, allow them to wash over you, receive the information that's being shared, feel into your own truth about it, and have an experience for yourself. Yeah, the Telepathy Tapes by Kai Dickens. So now that I've gone on about that for over a minute, I want to move into the telepathy itself, the extrasensory perceptions itself, and how all of us have extrasensory organs with extrasensory perceptions that receive information and data just like our five senses, and bring that data from the web, the energy that's all around us, how they bring that data into our brains for our brains to translate, just as our brains translate our physical senses into data, understanding of our physical world. These extrasensory perceptions bring understandings of our non-physical world. Our experience, our soul's experience that lives beyond the physical body. These extrasensory perceptions begin to key us into our understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Because the mere fact that telepathy exists means that this energy around me, this space around me and the space around you, the space that is all in between all of the material form, is not empty space. It's not empty space because there is something that is able to traverse through this space. The space itself exists and holds all of the information and all of the interconnectedness of all things. And so, of course, the scientists, and of course the skeptics, and of course the authorities, and of course the church would tell you that these things don't exist. Of course they would tell you that you're making it up and imagining it. Of course they would tell you that if you were to touch it, open it, explore it, that you would be dancing with the dark. Yeah? Of course they would tell you these things, because what is the actual truth is that the sovereignty and the divinity and the eternality of our being exists far beyond the confines of our skin suits. And this space that is all around our physical bodies is made up of a spiritual essence of our own soul signature, of our own connectedness with all that is, our own unique perspectives of reality. And of course, they wouldn't want you to know that as you begin to grasp your interconnectedness with all things, and as you begin to grasp how reality actually works beyond the physical senses, and as you get to experience that and experiment with that in your life, seeing results of your inner transformation and the transformation of your outer life, well then now you become a conscious co-creator of your reality. And you are no longer under the illusion, the glamour, and the influence of the perspectives of others. You have your own unique understanding of reality. You have experienced manifestation. You have experienced the power of prayer. You have experienced waking up to a dream that you knew was not a dream. You have experienced knowing who was going to call you right before that phone rang. You have experienced knowing someone was watching you from behind. You have had these experiences of your extrasensory perceptions. Let's talk about it. Let's normalize it. Let's feel into it. Let's explore it. Let's relax into it. Let's begin to allow the information to come from our spiritual body, from our light body, from the extrasensory, non-physical world, to inform us of higher ways and perspectives to move through the physical world. I truly believe that there is no limit to what our human consciousness can create. And I personally think that as we grow our human consciousness and as we sync up to our own inherent unity, just through the awakening process, just through understanding our oneness, just through opening to our extrasensory abilities and normalizing that for people, we create a field that makes it easier and easier for those that are really stuck in that separation, really stuck in that density, to begin to relax and begin to open, because we're holding a greater auric field of peace. And ultimately, as we begin to wake up in mass to our own telepathic abilities, to our own extrasensory perceptions, and trusting that we know when someone's lying, we know when someone's being shady, we know, and of course they don't want us to know, to see with clear vision all the goings-ons outside of our five senses. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about your extrasensory perception. What have you experienced? Have you experienced speaking to someone who had crossed over, who's no longer with us in the physical? Have you had experiences of walking into a space or a piece of land that felt exhilarating, or that felt sad or a little dark? Have you had those experiences? Have you ever felt eyes watching you from the back of your head? Have you ever understood your animal and what your animal was trying to say? What have you experienced? Drop a comment or tag me in a video.